Hi guys, it's Siobhan here and welcome to another video. Today we're going to be talking about applying for a job, applying to teach English as a second language in a foreign country. So whether you want to apply to Taiwan, China, Korea, Vietnam, most of this advice would be relevant to Asian countries. But you could also use some of this advice to apply to countries, European countries, where there may be a need for teaching English as a second language. So let's get to it. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of advice, tips, tricks, and basically strategies to apply for a job in the country of your choosing. And even if you don't know where to get started, I'm going to just give you guys some advice, and hopefully this video will help you guys understand how to apply for a job if you so wish to do so. So my first tip would be to get your documentation in order. I've already made a video on how to apply for a visa. You can check that out. I'll post a link in the description below. So the next step, after you've got all your documents in order, generally companies and schools would be like, wow, you know what, this person has his documents in order, it's going to be easy to hire him. The first thing that schools look for, one of the main things that schools look for is, does this candidate have the documents that I need? Because I'm sure you guys have heard horror stories about people coming and teaching in foreign countries, and then they had the worst time, and then they had to go back home, and you know, they tell you this horror story about, oh, I went to this country and I wanted to teach English, and this is all the bad things that happened to me. Now, a lot of it is down to two things. The first thing is finding a good employer, and the second thing is having the correct documentation yourself. So basically, good companies will always look for people that are legally working in their country. And in order to be legally working in their country, you need to have the correct documentation. Now, for Asian countries like China, Vietnam, Taiwan, Korea, most of the time you would need certain documentation, including a bachelor's degree from an accredited university in South Africa. And then you would need all the documents. You would need all the relevant documentation, basically to say, hey, you know what, I am a citizen of this country, I have a degree, I have done a TEFL course, I have no criminal background, etc., etc. So documentation is very important. And so good schools, if you are joining a good employer, the first thing they will ask for, do you have these documents? If you don't have the documents, they will say, okay, you don't have these documents, how soon can you get these documents for us? That's what they'll be asking you. A good school will ask you, okay, if you don't have the documents now, these are the list of documents I want, how soon can you get it for me? If a school doesn't ask you for these documents and instead says, hey, we're going to put you on this visa, don't worry, you don't have these documents, don't worry. And I want you to take a look at my video once again on applying for a visa, because if schools don't ask you for at least some of the documents on that list, you know they're probably going to take you for a ride, and it's going to be a bad experience. So pro tip number one, good schools ask for good documents. Good schools ask for good documents. So have your documents in order, and a good school is going to come calling. Now, next you need to know how to apply. So there are many sites online. My first pro tip is, if you've done a TEFL course, generally the company that you've done the TEFL course with will have contacts. My company that I've done the TEFL course with, the company that I've done the TEFL course with, had a lot of had some recommendations for me as well. So don't be afraid to ask the company that you did the TEFL with to check and ask and see if there's any openings available for you in a certain country. The next thing you can go is obviously online. There's great websites like Dave's ESL Cafe, Teachaway. These are good sites. You could even just Google jobs in China. Also, Facebook is also a good source as well. Like people generally, employers would be advertising on Facebook, and you can check, hey, you know what, this school's looking for people, and let's apply here. You know, you never know what you might find a good school on Facebook even. If you want to, let's say you're moving to China, right? You could join a Facebook group, teachers, South African teachers in China, American teachers in China, or China expats. Look for any Chinese teaching Facebook accounts and join those, and generally people will be advertising job openings on that platform also. So once you start applying for jobs abroad, you're gonna be in touch with agents. So let's say you find an opening on a website and they give you somebody's WeChat number or Skype or email, whatever, and you get in contact with this person, and now this person here is a recruiter. Now a recruiter has links with various schools, various companies, and basically a recruiter goes to schools and companies and says, hey, you know what, you guys are looking for a foreign teacher, we'll help you find a foreign teacher. In return, you guys pay us a fee. So that's what recruiters do, and you're going to be in touch with various recruiters. So my pro tip, another pro tip, is not to stick with one recruiter but have many recruiters, and that way you can sort of sift out the best possible offer. Now the next thing I'm going to talk about is salary expectation. I'm not going to be talking about what you should expect as a salary, because that all depends on factors, you know, various factors. How old are you? What's your work experience? Did you have previous teaching experience? Maybe you were a teacher for 10 years in South Africa. Obviously that will raise your value as a teacher. So instead of talking about salary expectations, because that can be another video on its own, I'm going to talk about how to find the best possible salary. So if you're applying for a job in a specific country, first of all, check the exchange rates to your country so you know how well that salary sort of stacks up. The second thing to do is to look at all the offers based on certain levels of experience. For instance, if they're asking if you are a new teacher, look at what they're offering new teachers. Look at every single job opening on every single website to see what they're offering. However, they won't necessarily offer you what they're offering on the website. So next thing to do is to go for interviews. tell them, okay, I'm expecting this amount of salary, and they will tell you, okay, you know what, maybe we can give you this salary, or maybe it's too high for us. This is what we're going to offer you instead. So you go for a few interviews like that, and you sort of get an estimate of what salary is good, what's the average salary these guys are going to offer you, and that way you can take the highest offer. So once you found a job that you know, hey, I like the salary, the next thing obviously you need to consider is the working hours. How much are they willing to work you for the amount of salary you're getting? For instance, a salary of 13,000 RMB could be good, but if you're working 6 days a week, then it may not be worth it, because are you willing to work 6 days a week and only get 1 day a week off? You know, you may not be willing to do that. So if you need to look at the free time the job offers you, you need to look at, hey, am I happy with getting weekends off? Am I happy with not getting weekends off? Am I happy with having weekdays off? Because some jobs, especially in training centers, are more like tuition centers, and I'll do another video on this later on. But training centers are more like tuition centers where kids would come for English tuition, and they would come during the weekend. So the most quiet times for business is the weekdays, and that's when obviously you'd have your days off. And some tuition centers may offer you consecutive days off, some may not. So you need to obviously check whether that's in line with what you want. The next thing to consider is whether or not they would give you accommodation, whether they'd give you accommodation, or whether they give you cash for accommodation, whether you'd have an accommodation allowance, or whether they'd give you a free place to live. These are things to consider, especially if you need to know how much money you need to save up, because if they're not giving you a place to stay, you obviously need to pay for that yourself. Next thing you need to find out is, are they giving me a flight allowance? Are they paying for a flight here? Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. You need to figure out all of that and see, hey, can I afford to move to a new country or not? So those are the things you need to consider. So from my experience of applying to schools, most schools would offer you an accommodation or an accommodation allowance. So basically they'd say, okay, you know what, we have a place for you to stay. That's option A. They'd have a place for you to stay. You're going to stay near the school. We're going to put you here to lodge. Or they may say, hey, you know what, there's a certain amount of money. We're going to give you this certain amount of money every month. You find your own place to stay. It could be one of two options. But I'm going to discuss that. That's another issue for another video. So I will discuss that when I release the next video on this topic. So once you've done that, you found the school, you're happy with the salary, you're happy with the benefits, you're happy with the days off. The next step is to check now the country's cost of living. So I would watch YouTube videos on specific countries. What's the cost of living in Vietnam? What's the cost of living in China? And obviously match that to the salaries that are being offered, and you can decide whether that job is right for you or not. So once you're happy with the salary, once you're happy with the job, once you're happy with the cost of living in that country, and you say, okay, you know what, I found a good job, I like this job, I like what they're offering me, I like the salary, your next step would be to now find out whether the school is a good school or not. Find out whether the school is legit. That's your next step. So how do you find out whether a school is legit or not? First thing, you could go to Facebook. Maybe they have a Facebook page. Check it out. Look at the comments. If they don't have any comments on their Facebook page, you know something's wrong. The next thing you should look for is check whether the school has a website. Go look whether the school has a website. Generally, very good schools or reputable schools will have a website. So you guys should check whether the school has a website. The next thing you can do is go to Glassdoor.com. Go to IOL Jobs. Look up the reviews of people working in the school. So Glassdoor is a great website where people would review, employees would review the place they're working at. And you basically go on Glassdoor, type in the name of the school and see, hey, so when I started working, when I found my first job in China and I was happy with the salary and I was happy with everything that they were offering me, the first thing I looked on Glassdoor and I saw the reviews, and it was a mixed bag of reviews. So some of them said, oh, this company is terrible. Some of them said, this company is great. Some of them said, this company is good, but it has its flaws. And some of them said, wow, this company is amazing. So there were good comments, bad comments, and average comments. And you know something is legit when people are complaining about it. So I was like, okay, you know what? This is a legit company. The next thing you could do to maybe find out whether it's legit or not is ask them. Ask the company the school or company that you that you're going to sign a contract with. Ask them. You can even sign the contract, but ask them, hey, after you've signed the contract and you know you're probably gonna fly out in maybe, after you've signed the contract, you still need to get certain documents in order. So you have a little bit of time to chat with other people. So ask the school or company, hey, do you have any other teachers working at this company? Do you have any other teachers working at this campus? Because I would like to ask them about their experience here. I would like to ask them about, obviously be tactful about this, but I asked the school I was with, I said, hey, do you know any other South Africans? Can I add them on WeChat? I would like to make friends before coming to this foreign country, because I was going to China and I was going to a city where I didn't really know the city well and I didn't have any friends in the city. So I said, if you can get me in touch with somebody's, you could give me a contact of somebody, a teacher that's already working here, that would make me feel at ease already, because I would have a friend before I even came. And so they put me in touch and they gave me a teacher's contact information, and I started chatting to him, and it made me feel more at ease knowing that there was another South African there, somebody from my country that likes it there. And that put me more at ease, and immediately, you know, any concern about whether the school was legit or not kind of faded away. So those are some of the tips that I would look at for applying for a job in China. So once again, you apply online, you get your documentation correct, you look at how whether a school asks you for documents, because if they do, they are legit. Then you get in touch with agents and you sift around for the best salary. You also look at the benefits at the job, days off, hours worked, accommodation allowances, flight allowances, etc., etc. You look at that. Maybe they're giving you free meals. That would also be great. And then you maybe ask them you check their reviews. You check you check their reviews, you check the words of people that have worked there before, and you ask them to put you in touch with somebody that is working there right now. And those are some of the steps that you can use to successfully apply for a job, successfully and safely apply for a job in a foreign country, because some of you guys will be applying for jobs, may not have people or friends in a foreign country. And if you don't have friends or support in a foreign country, it's good to know that if you follow these steps, you're gonna have a good time in a foreign country. And yeah, so guys, if you have any questions, you guys can let me know. You can comment down below and I'll be happy to answer it. And thanks for watching this video, guys. I'll see you next time. Cheers.